Hey up my duck YouTube, welcome back to another video with Rams fan YT. Long anticipated this video has been probably by a lot of you. I know there's a lot of Coventry City fans out there. I know my family personally have close ties to it on my cousin's side, and my dad supports them as well. So lots of people will probably be tuning into this. And this is of course the history of Coventry City. And the club was founded in 1883 by a person called Willie Stanley, an employee of the local cycle firm Singers. You may have heard of the company. The club, as a result, was known as Singers FC until 1898, when the name was changed to Coventry City. Early matches were played at Dowell's Field off Binley Road, until a move to Stoke Road in 1887, before a move to Highfield Road site in 1899. The period of 1887 to 1892 was a golden one for the club, with the Birmingham Junior Cup being won in consecutive years in 1891 and 1892. Having been members of the Birmingham League since 1894, the club progressed to the Southern League in 1908. Before being elected to the Football League Division 2 immediately after World War I. In 1910, they enjoyed one of their finest moments when, as a non-league club, they reached the FA Cup quarter-finals, beating First Division side Preston and Nottingham Forest en route. In 1919, Coventry City were voted into the Football League. City's first season in the league in 1919-1920 was a disaster. They lost their opening game at home to Tottenham 5-0 and did not win a match until Christmas Day. Dreadful format. Setting the precedent for their later dramatic survival battles, they avoided relegation on the final day, but only after a bribery scandal rocked the club. And throughout the 20s, City struggled with managers coming and going, until relegation finally caught up with them in 1925. It was not until the arrival of manager Harry Storer in 1931 that fortunes improved, and the 1930s were a golden period for the Bantams, as the club was nicknamed back then. Despite City being substantially in the red, Storer developed a side which scored 100 goals in 4 seasons out of 5, with the club's greatest ever goal scorer, Clary Borton, netting 49 goals in 1932 and 40 the following season. In 1936, they won the 3rd Division South Championship after a nail-biting final day 2-1 victory over Torquay United, and returned to Division 2 after 11 years in the lower division, with crowds averaging over 20,000. The 3 seasons prior to World War II saw the club come close to promotion to the Division 1. In 1938, they missed it by 1 point, and many observers believe that, but for the war, City would have achieved their target. The post-war years brought troubled times. Storer left for Birmingham City in 1945 and returned in 1951, but his ageing side were relegated to the Division 3 South in 1952. That decade witnessed many false dawns before the team embarked on the slide, which touched rock bottom in 1958, with membership of the newly formed Division 4. Fortunately, 1 season was enough to clamber out of the league's basement. The 1960s was a boom time in Coventry, with car factories keeping pace with the consumer revolution in the nation at large. It was the arrival of Jimmy Hill as manager in 1961 that sparked the revolution at the club. A new sky blue kit was unveiled, and the nickname was changed to the Sky Blues. Trains were laid on for fans to travel to away games, and pre-match entertainment became commonplace, plus many more innovations. Most importantly, on the pitch, the team delivered. In 1963, after a feverish FA Cup run, City lost out in the quarter-finals to Manchester United. But the following season, they were champions of Division 3, boasting average crowds of 26,000, which was very respectable for a time there. The Highfield Road Stadium was substantially rebuilt in the 1960s, with 3 new stands erected in 4 years. Hill, with the backing of Chairman Derek Robbins, was the Pied Piper, and after 3 exciting seasons in Division 2, he steered the club to the title and promotion to the promised land of Division 1 in 1967. In that promotion season of the 1966-67 season, the team went 25 games unbeaten, and the campaign reached an exhilarating final, in which was dubbed the Midlands Match of the Century, when nearest rivals Wolves were beaten 3-1 in front of a record 51,455 Highfield Road crowd to clinch the Division 2 championship. On the eve of their baptism in the top flight, Jimmy Hill announced that he was leaving the club to pursue a career in television, a blow which many people inside and outside Coventry thought would sound the death knell for the club's ambitions. The first season of the top flight was long and hard, and serious injuries to key players George Curtis and Ian Gibson made new manager Noel Cantwell's task all the harder. He spent over £300,000 on new players, and in what was a precursor for the future, the relegation battle went to the final game of the season at Southampton, where a goalless draw kept the City up. Despite the paucity of good results, however, City's crowds averaged over 34,500, a record which has never been topped. The following season was almost a carbon copy, apart from the ending when City finished their games, leaving FA Cup finalists Leicester City still to play 5 matches and needing 7 points to send the Sky Blues down. Rumours of favours for old friends circulated as Cantwell's former team Manchester United beat Leicester in their final game to save Coventry. No one would have predicted that 12 months later, virtually the same team would finish 6th and qualify for Europe. The place in Europe being clinched on a passionate night at Molineux, when a Brian Joycey goal beat the old enemy Wolves. Alas, the European experience was disappointing. After easily overcoming the Bulgarians, Trachea Plovdiv, City without their injured goalkeeper Glazier slumped to a 6-1 defeat to Bayern Munich. Cantwell was sacked in 1972 and followed by the Joe Merker/Gordon Milner regime, and their signings of Stein and Hutchinson brought 2 of the most exciting players of the era to the club. A good league run of 3 FA Cup wins and a high level of entertainment raised hopes, but Wolves shattered the Wembley dream in the quarter-finals. Jimmy Hill returned as managing director in 1975 and later became chairman, but failed to spark his magic a second time. Finances were poor and the club's best players were sold to balance the books. Although the team of the 1977-78 season scored 75 goals and played arguably the best football of the First Division era. Milner was replaced by Dave Sexton in 1981, and the ground was made an all-seater. A disastrous mistake, which combined with lackluster performances on the pitch, saw average crowds down to 10,000. In 1983, Hill resigned as chairman and Sexton was replaced by Bobby Gould. But on the field, the team struggled, with relegation avoided on the last day of the season 3 years running. In 1986, however, Gould's successor, Don McKay, was replaced by John Sillett, alongside MD George Curtis, who, supported by Coventry-born chairman John Poynton, took the club to their finest hour 12 months later. If you're a fan, you'll know what's coming up. A team without star names won their way to Wembley with outstanding teamwork, a gritty determination, and above all, a sense of fun. They defeated Tottenham Hotspur 3-2 after extra time in one of the finest post-war FA Cup finals, also it's claimed. With goals from David Bennett, Keith Houchen's diving header, and a Gary Mabutt own goal. After taking sole command after the cup victory, and Select kept the club in mid-table respectably for 3 seasons. But the fans wanted more, and after 2 cut banana skins at Sutton and Northampton, he was sacrificed in 1990 and replaced by the former England captain Terry Butcher. The inexperienced Butcher lasted only 14 months, and his temporary successor, Don Howe's style of play wasn't popular, before Bobby Gould returned in the summer of 1992. Gould's first season was relatively successful with a team rarely out of the top 8, but tailing off to finish 15th. 2 months into the following season, after a 5-1 mauling at QPR, Gould threw the towel in, citing the imminent sale of Peter Nudolovu as the region. Gould's assistant Phil Neal was promoted, but lasted only 16 months as manager and was replaced in February 1995 by former Manchester United, West Brom and Aston Villa manager Ron Atkinson, though that was unpopular. Ron generated lots of interest and increased gates by 5,000, but despite having substantial funds at his disposal, City always struggled under him, and in November 1996, with another relegation battle looming, he was moved upstairs, with his assistant Gordon Strachan taking over. Relegation was avoided on the final day of the 1996-97 season with a nerve-wracking win at Tottenham, when anything less would have seen them go down. Amazingly, the 1997-98 campaign saw City safe from relegation fears well before the end of the season. A marvellous unbeaten run of 13 games, which was inspired by the dazzling form of Dion Dublin and Darren Huckabee, took City to the FA Cup quarter-finals for the first time since 1987, and only a penalty shootout at Bramall Lane stopped progress. Strachan was hailed as one of the top young managers in the game, and Dublin was chosen for England. The post-Wembley years were dogged by poor signings, sales of their best players, a merry-go-round of managers, and empty promises. Between 1993 and 2001, much occurred both on and off the pitch. Major ground improvements were made and attendances increased by 50%. In 1999, City pulled off a major coup by signing Robbie Keane for £6 million. A club record fee, to be fair. He only stayed at Coventry for 1 season, but with Gary McAllister and Mustafa Hadji in top form, City fans saw some of their best football in for years. In the same year, Coventry City first revealed plans to move to a 40,000-seat multi-purpose arena in Foleshill with a retractable roof and pitch. In 2000, Keane's departure to Inter Milan for £13 million and McAllister's move to Liverpool left City in disarray. And in May 2001, the club were relegated after 34 years in top flight. Despite shelling out £5 million for Lee Hughes, Gordon Strachan paid the price for relegation just weeks into the new season and was replaced by Roland Nilsson. Roland's reign started well, but the season petered out with 5 defeats in a row after a place in the playoffs had looked achievable. Roland left at the end of the season and was replaced by former player Gary McAllister. Meanwhile, Boardroom Changes took place in January, with Brian Richardson being ousted and Mike McGinnity taking over as chairman. Financially, the club was in dire straits. Huge cost-cutting was required to prevent the club from going into administration, and this was achieved mainly through the sale of the highest-earning players. While the collapse of ITV Digital hit clubs in the First Division hard, Hughes and David Thompson left for cut-price fees. In October 2003, the City Council gave the green light for the arena project to be the club's new 32,000-seater home, with the arena to be half council, half Higgs charity owned. On the pitch, there was little but consolidation and therefore frustration for the fans who had been spoiled with 32 years in the top flight. McAllister's first season in charge ended in 19th place, and halfway through the 2003-04 campaign, he left due to personal reasons. His number 2, Eric Black, was offered the caretaker role, and in January 2004 took over full-time. Supported by Archie Knox, for a brief while, Black offered hope of a brighter future, turn for the better, and the free-scoring days of the past returned. City fell short of playoff finish, but after a 5-2 win at Gillingham in the season, Black was surprisingly sacked, with Peter Reid taking over. The 2004-05 season started poorly, and by the new year, City were looking at a relegation battle. Peter Reid departed, with former player Mickey Adams taking over. His main task was to steer the team clear of relegation, a job he completed in some style, I'm unfortunate to say, when City unfortunately thrashed Derby 6-2 in the final ever game at Highfield Road after 106 years on the 30th of April 2005. Another flashing light, if you see that there. Some lights above me. Out and below, I think. The Ricoh Arena move and another relegation. Well, we can tell what's coming now. On August the 20th, 2005, the Sky Blues played their first ever game at their new stadium, the Ricoh Arena, when they beat QPR 3-0 in front of a safety-capped capacity of 23,000. In November 2005, Mike McGinnity stepped down as chairman due to ill health. Despite a slow start to the 2005-06 season, the Sky Blues finished the campaign strongly and ended up breaking a number of long-standing records on their way to an 8th place finish. However, that progress struggled to continue in 2006-07, and an unprecedented run of results between December 2006 and January 2007 saw Adams leave the club. In February 2007, the club appointed Ian Dowie as its new manager. Dowie had an instant impact, ensuring consolidation in the Coca-Cola Championship for another season. The 2007-08 season saw a memorable Carling Cup win over Manchester United. The departure of MD Paul Fletcher and then newly appointed chairman in former director Joe Elliott, looking for new investors with a threat of administration looming. In December 2007, with less than an hour before the deadline, a deal was struck with Sisu. I hear the boos already. With former footballer Ray Ranson becoming chairman. In February 2008, the club relieved manager Dowie of his duties, and on the same day the appointment of Chris Coleman was announced. The Sky Blues escaped the threat of relegation, but a 4-1 final day defeat away to Charlton Athletic saw nerves aplenty. Coleman's first full season in charge saw an impressive FA Cup run, only topped by quarter-final defeat at sold-out Ricoh Arena against Chelsea. But a disappointing end to the campaign saw Sky Blues finish 17th in the Championship. The 2009-10 season saw the Sky Blues in the playoff spots during March, but an 11-game run without a win saw Coleman dismissed at the end of the season. Aidy Boothroyd took over in June 2010, and his early efforts saw the club scaling the heady heights of the playoff spots, although a post-Christmas slump ultimately called time on his 9-month stay at the Ricoh. Andy Thorne, club chief scout of 3 years, took up the role of caretaker manager for the remainder of the 2010-11 season, but 2 weeks later, Ranson himself resigned as chairman. Thorne's impressive run of results as caretaker boss, a run which saw the club secure their championship status with 3 games to spare, came during the arrival of new chairman Ken DeLuey, who made it one of his first jobs to formally offer Thorne the permanent manager's position. 2 days before City's final home game of the 2010-11 season against playoff contenders Reading. Thorne's first full season in charge was a tough one, though, as the Sky Blues were relegated into League One, England's football's third tier, for the first time in 48 years. Thorne's spell as manager lasted 4 games into the 2012-13 season after 3 consecutive draws in League One, with Thorne departing after a 2-2 home draw with the now no longer existent, or existent in a shell of a form anyhow, Bury, before Mark Robbins was appointed as manager in late September 2012. Robbins' appointment was undoubtedly revived the Sky Blues lean campaign as they embarked on a run of form that brought them to within touching distance of the playoffs. City also reached the area final of the John Johnston's Paint Trophy, or the EFL Trophy, heralding another sellout but defeat over 2 legs to Crewe. The turnaround of results under Robbins' reign also attracted attention from Championship side Huddersfield Town, who moved to convince Robbins to make the move north in February 2013, leaving the Sky Blues to look for a new manager to see out the remainder of the season. Former City defender Stephen Pressley was named as Robbins' successor in March. Pressley's first few days in the job were not smooth ones, as the club were handed down a 10-point deduction by the Football League after an arm of the club was put into administration following a rental dispute with the Ricoh Arena Management Company, a deduction that all but put the playoffs out of reach. The off-the-field situation continued to develop as the club was forced to look for a temporary home to play their home games from 2013-14, followed protracted, unsuccessful talks with the Ricoh Arena's management company. A deal was announced to ground share with Northampton Town, a hugely controversial and unpopular opinion. The 2013-14 campaign saw City start with a further point deduction and playing in front of considerably smaller crowds at the Sixfield Stadium. However, the Sky Blues produced scintillating football at times, spearheaded by the goal scoring of Callum Wilson and Leon Clark, and Presley's side finished 18th. Having begun the season at Sixfields on the 21st of August 2014, a deal was agreed which saw the Sky Blues return to the Ricoh Arena. The memorable first game back saw a 1-0 win over Gillingham in front of over 27,000 fans. In February, and with the Sky Blues just outside relegation places, Presley was dismissed and replaced by Tony Mowbray. Mowbray would guide City to survival with a last day win at Crawley Town, proving decisive. In 2015-16, Mowbray's side were in the upper reaches of League One, hitting the top of the table in November. However, that form fell away and the Sky Blues would finish the campaign in 8th, outside of the playoffs. City's poor start to the 2016-17 season saw Mowbray leave in September 2016. Technical director Mark Venus took temporary charge and was a slight upturn in fortunes, but poor winter form saw Russell Slade appointed as permanent manager in December 2016. He will not stay in post for long in a tumultuous season, being sacked in March after only 1 league win. He had, however, guided City to the Checkatrade Trophy final, a welcome distraction in a season that would eventually result in relegation to League Two. Mark Robbins returned to the club in March 2017 after an immediate improvement to the side. Robbins led City to a 2-1 win over Oxford United in the Checkatrade Trophy final at Wembley Stadium in front of over 45,000 Sky Blues fans, securing the club's first silverware since 1987. After relegation was confirmed, Robbins set about rebuilding the side in League Two. Ambitions of promotion were set, and after exciting football throughout the campaign, the Sky Blues finished the campaign in 6th place, the club's highest position in the league since 1970, and enough to secure a playoff place. After a thrilling 2-legged semi-final win over Notts County, the Sky Blues beat Exeter City 3-1 in the playoff final at Wembley Stadium, with another 40,000 City fans in attendance, to secure a first promotion in 51 years. The 2018-19 season saw the club consolidate in League One, finishing just outside the playoff positions in 8th place. After Wasps Rugby Club owner the Ricoh Arena since their move north in 2014, and the Sky Blues didn't reach an agreement for City to play at the stadium, Coventry City were forced into another ground share, this time with Birmingham City St Andrew's Tree and Trophy Stadium. The 2019-20 campaign would be historic. The Sky Blues played some of the most attractive football seen by the side in many years, and were rarely outside the playoff places, and often in the upper echelons of the league table. After an earlier spell at the summit, City reached the top again on the 1st of March. After a coronavirus pandemic swept the world and reached the UK, football was initially suspended on the 13th of March. As the suspension continued, the likelihood of a season being completed on the pitch was diminished. On the 9th of June 2020, Coventry City were confirmed as League One champions after the season was concluded based on points per game, and the Sky Blues were clear winners in unprecedented times. Coventry City are now in this season in the Sky Bet Championship, and on the 10th of March 2021, a 10-year agreement was signed with the Wasps Group that would see the Sky Blues now return to play in Coventry and at Ricoh Arena from August 2021. So there's a bit of light at the end of this tunnel for what has been a very bad time in modern history. So I hope you very much enjoyed that video. Please subscribe for a bit of regular footballing content. We've got more championship content coming at you. We've got the best current championship clubs, best players all time coming up on Sunday. And we've got the history of my club now coming up next week, Derby County. So be sure to tune into that. And this hair is getting cut tomorrow as well. See if you like it. Put in the comments if you tune in again. So goodbye for now.